Lana always thought her mom, Jolene, vanished to escape a broken life. But the truth was buried in a crawlspace, wrapped in blood and silence. What started as a dusty box in a forgotten corner of their old house unraveled a decades-old conspiracy, exposing a killer no one suspected and a betrayal that cut deeper than death. This wasn't just a disappearance. It was a cover-up soaked in fear, obsession, and the kind of secrets small towns are built to protect. The Crime Scene presents a new page of crime, a new mystery, a new shock case. It was the kind of disappearance that didn't make headlines, just a quiet vanishing act in a sleepy Georgia town where folks minded their own and didn't ask too many questions. Jolene was the type of woman who turned heads without trying, always had a little mystery in her smile. One day she was folding laundry, humming to the radio, and the next, poof, gone like she never existed. No goodbye, no suitcase missing, no signs of a struggle. Just her car parked in the driveway and her purse still on the kitchen counter. 10-year-old Lana woke up to an empty house and a stepdad who acted like nothing was wrong. Rick said she probably ran off, needed space, maybe found someone new. But the way he said it, flat, cold, like he'd rehearsed it, didn't sit right. The cops came, asked a few questions, poked around the backyard, then left with their notepads barely touched. No one pushed too hard. Jolene didn't have enemies, didn't know money, didn't leave behind a trail. Her friends figured she'd had enough of small-town life and dipped. Her sister thought maybe she'd cracked under pressure. Lana didn't know what to think, just kept waiting for her mom to walk through the door like it was all some messed-up dream. But days turned into weeks, and weeks into years. The flyers faded, the case file got shelved, and the town moved on like it always does when the truth's too ugly to chase. Rick never talked about her again. He drank more, worked less, and kept Lana on a short leash. She learned early not to ask questions, not to dig. But something about that silence, it stuck. It grew roots. And even as Lana got older, moved out, built a life far from that house, the ghost of her mom's disappearance never stopped whispering. Something was off. Something was buried. And one day, it was going to claw its way back into the light. The house had been sitting quiet for years, like it was holding its breath. Lana hadn't stepped foot inside since she left for college, and now here she was, back in the same creaky hallway where her childhood ended. Rick was gone, heart gave out in his sleep, and the place was hers now. She didn't want it, not really, but something told her to go through it before selling. The air was thick with dust and old memories, and every corner felt like it was watching her. She started in the attic, then the basement, but it was the crawl space that changed everything. Wedged behind a busted water heater was a metal box, duct taped like someone didn't want it opened. It was heavy, rusted, and smelled like mildew. Inside, she found a stack of faded Polaroids, some of her mom, some of places she didn't recognize. One showed Jolene standing in front of a motel sign, eyes wide like she'd seen something she couldn't unsee. Another was just a blurry shot of a man's hand gripping her wrist. Beneath the photos was a scarf, red, floral, stained dark in the middle. Lana recognized it instantly. Her mom wore it the day she vanished. Then came the cassette. Old school, warped, labeled in shaky handwriting. Jolene, 7/12/98. Lana didn't even own a tape player, but she found one in Rick's garage, buried under tools and beer cans. The audio was scratchy, but Jolene's voice came through, panicked, whispering, saying she was being followed. She mentioned a name Lana didn't recognize, said she had proof, said she was scared for Lana. Then static. No goodbye, no explanation, just fear. That box wasn't just junk, it was a breadcrumb trail. Lana knew right then her mom hadn't run away. She'd been hunted, and whatever Jolene was trying to expose, Rick had buried it deep. But now, it was clawing its way back. Lana couldn't shake the feeling that her mom's trail hadn't gone cold. It had just been buried deep enough to keep people from asking the wrong questions. That tape, those photos, the bloodstained scarf, they weren't just clues. They were a warning. So she started digging, not just emotionally, but literally. She pulled old police reports, scanned missing persons forums, and even hit up local Facebook groups filled with conspiracy nuts and amateur sleuths. That's when she found it. A thread about a rundown motel off Highway 17, the last confirmed sighting of Jolene. The place was barely standing. Half the rooms boarded up, the neon sign flickering like it was on life support. The manager was ancient, half-blind, but still had the ledgers from the 90s stacked in a milk crate behind the desk. Lana flipped through the pages until she found it. July 12, 1998. Jolene's name was scribbled next to room 6. But what made her blood run cold was the name written underneath. C. Maddox. That name wasn't familiar, but it felt heavy. A quick search pulled up a sealed domestic violence case from '96. Maddox had a record: assault, stalking, restraining orders. The dude was bad news. Digging deeper, Lana found out Maddox had bought a cabin in the woods under a fake name just months before Jolene vanished. No mortgage, no utilities, just cash and silence. The cabin was never searched. No one even knew it existed. It was like Maddox had built himself a hideout, and Jolene had walked straight into it. Lana started piecing it together. Her mom hadn't run away. She'd been trying to expose something. Maybe Maddox's past, maybe something darker. And Rick? He'd known. Maybe not everything, but enough to keep his mouth shut. This wasn't just a missing person case anymore. It was a setup, and Lana was about to walk straight into the heart of it. The drive out to the cabin felt like a descent into another world. Trees closing in, signal dropping, the kind of silence that makes your skin crawl. Lana followed the old property records and GPS coordinates she'd dug up online, and after 2 hours of winding back roads, she found it. The cabin was half collapsed, swallowed by vines and rot, like nature had been trying to erase it. The front door hung crooked, and inside was chaos. Broken furniture, moldy newspapers, and a wall covered in yellowed clippings. Every single one was about Jolene. Missing posters, news blurbs, even a school photo of Lana from 3rd grade. Someone had been watching. Obsessively. The floorboards creaked under her boots as she stepped deeper in. A rug in the center of the room looked out of place. Too clean, too deliberate. She yanked it back and found a trapdoor. The hinges groaned as she pulled it open, revealing a dirt cellar that reeked of decay. She climbed down, flashlight shaking in her hand. That's when she saw it. A shallow grave, wrapped in a floral bedsheet she hadn't seen since she was a kid. Her mom's favorite one. The bones were brittle, half-buried, and surrounded by scraps of clothing and a rusted locket Lana remembered from family photos. She called the cops anonymously, gave them the location, then waited. Dental records confirmed it. Jolene hadn't run. She'd been buried alive. And the killer? Maddox. But the twist came fast. Rick's fingerprints were all over the cabin. On the trapdoor, the walls, even the damn locket. He hadn't just known. He'd helped. Maybe out of fear, maybe out of guilt, maybe something darker. The man who raised Lana, who told her to forget, had been part of the cover-up. The truth wasn't just buried, it had been protected. And now, it was finally clawing its way out. The cops took the grave seriously. For once, the system moved fast. Jolene's remains were identified, the cabin was sealed off, and the case reopened after 2 decades of dust. But Lana wasn't done. Something about the way Rick's fingerprints showed up everywhere gnawed at her. She went back to the house one last time, retracing every step, every drawer, every crack in the wall. That's when she found it. A loose brick behind the furnace, barely noticeable unless you were looking for secrets. Inside was a second cassette, unlabeled, but she knew it was his. She played it in the same busted tape deck from the garage. Rick's voice came through, slurred and bitter. He rambled about Jolene, about Maddox, about how things got out of hand. He said Jolene had threatened to go public, to ruin Maddox, to take Lana and disappear. Rick panicked. Said Maddox convinced him it was the only way. They lured her to the cabin, told her it was just a talk. But she fought back. Screamed. Rick said he didn't mean for it to go that far, but once it did, there was no turning back. He helped bury her. Helped erase her. Then came the line that stuck like a knife. Asterisk, she should have kept quiet. Asterisk. Lana sat there, tape still spinning, heart hollow. The man who raised her, who tucked her in and told her monsters weren't real, he was one of them. She handed everything over to the cops. Maddox was long dead, but Rick's confession blew the case wide open. Jolene got a proper burial, a headstone, and a name cleared. Lana uploaded the story to YouTube, raw and unfiltered. It went viral. Millions watched. But behind the views and comments, behind the justice and closure, Lana knew the truth cut deeper than any headline. Her mom didn't vanish. She was silenced, and the silence had a name.